Hello, I think we're recording. I'm going to walk you through Canvas in a way that I would normally walk you through a syllabus on the first day of class. Um, and if you have any questions, of course, you should let me know. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. This is the home page. I don't know how to get rid of the picture of me down there. It doesn't belong on Canvas. It belongs just to the recording. Behind the homepage is the syllabus. Most of this is totally self-explanatory. Let me point out a couple of things. First of all, the courses got moved back 1 hour. So we were meant to meet from 1:20 to 2:20. I'm sorry, 1:20 to 2:30. Now we're meeting from 2:20 to 3:30. The dean sent you an email about that. It's the same for every class, so you should already have gotten that message. And then me. My name's Emily Anderson. If you can't bring yourself to call me Emily, you can call me Professor Anderson or Dr. Anderson. Either is fine. The best way to reach me is via text message, and the number right here is the number to use. It's a Google Voice number. It doesn't make my phone beep or ring or anything like that. I check the messages as frequently as I can and get back to you as often as I can. If it's a longer message, the next best way is Canvas, which is what I'm showing you right now. And Canvas has an inbox right over here that looks a lot like an email box, except that I check it a lot more often than I check my regular email, which is right here. And you should know, and I mentioned this already, that my email address is just Anderson@Knox. Office hours are Tuesday and Thursday from 12:30 to 2. And this is all Central Daylight Time. And they're via Zoom, which you haven't tried yet. Please do. I want to make sure that it works for everyone, and I need to know that it's working for you before our first class. Okay. My current thinking is that I will record short, fascinating mini lectures about the material. You can listen to or watch them before, while, or after you've done the reading. You will complete short writing assignments in response to the videos, and I'm calling these responses, and I'll show you where they go and what they look like in just a second. Then we'll meet over Zoom to have something like a class discussion. Let me know if this doesn't work for you, especially if we've tried it for a week or so and it's not working. I really want to know. Or if you have suggestions, that would be great also. I'm communicating with you as a class as soon as everyone is registered via Canvas announcements. You need to make sure you're getting notifications for them, otherwise you'll miss a lot of information from me. Preferably, if you have things to talk about with me, you can jump onto Zoom during office hours, send me text messages, or send me a longer message through Canvas. You have to complete the final paper, and it's due literally at the end of the term. So I don't have a lot of leeway there. Especially now, make sure Canvas knows what time zone you're in. Okay, the course summary. I've put office hours on here, which normally I don't do. I've done it now to remind you that I'm very available. So even though we won't be meeting in person, you can still hang out with me and talk to me, even if it's just to drop by to talk about the book. It doesn't have to be some problem you're having or question that you have. You might just want some more one-on-one discussion. Okay, our first class is on Wednesday, and the first thing we're going to do, Introduction and Syllabus, is the videos that will already have seen, is look at a short piece by Eliza Haywood. And before Wednesday, I will have recorded a video about the piece. So it's a PDF that you'll download here, and then there will be a video here for you to watch. It'll just be a few minutes of me saying what I think is most important and what maybe you thought about or may have thought about it. And that's the first class. The second class is about Moll Flanders, which I hope you've been looking at or even listening to since the email that I sent out. And this one looks a little different. Read the above before our discussion, watch the video below. You'll notice that there's a space for a video, but no video yet because I haven't recorded one. Take notes, especially on any questions you have. And then I want you to submit a response in reaction to the reading in the video. This means that at class time, so at 2:20 Central Time, you're going to log on to Zoom. And I don't know if you've seen this already, if you've logged on, but I can put you into breakout groups, which are like small groups. I mentioned this once already. And so a lot of the work on Zoom will be maybe me talking at first with questions from you, and then small groups that I can pop in and out of to see what you're talking about and maybe answer further questions. So the response that you'll have to submit for the Dufault, you will submit down here. This looks really, the whole screen looks different for me than it will look for you, but it's a text entry box and the assignment is listed over here. Okay. Post a response for each class, not the one on Haywood because that's the first class. Contribute an analytical reading of the text while taking into account what you've read and what I've said. That would be in the video. They should responses, further questions, suggest resolutions, develop a discussion. It should pertain to the upcoming reading, which is just to say that if we're reading 1 through 100 pages of Defoe, you need to be writing about those pages in Defoe, not what we had read for the previous class. 250 to 500 words, not very long. I don't want you to spend tons of time on it. They need to be submitted by the time class begins because once we've discussed the reading, there's really no point in you going back and coming up with a response unless you're not there for the Zoom meeting, and then you can submit it late. Most interestingly, I'm giving you credit for submitting an acceptable response or no credit for submitting an unacceptable one. This is how to get credit for a response. Again, they shouldn't take you that long. I want to know that you're doing reading and thinking critically about it. If you get credit, then great. If you don't get credit, it means you didn't do it or you didn't do the assignment the way I'm hoping for, and I can give you a lot more feedback about how to do better in future. There's an example here as well. Back to the syllabus, there are a couple of other things I want to show you on here. That's not the syllabus. That's a different page, actually. Okay, let me go back to the page that is ours. I got tripped up by going to a different Canvas site. Okay. You might have different editions of the book. The Dufault, I cannot help you with in terms of chapters because there aren't chapters. So you can divide the number of pages by 3, and that's probably about the number of pages that we're reading for every class period. Richardson, there aren't chapters. I believe there's a break between 219 and 221. Fielding is a PDF. Cleland has one volume and then another volume, so that's easy. Bernie, I can't remember how it's divided up. I don't think it's volumes. It's a collection of letters, so that might be really difficult also. Lewis is a little bit easier, but this is one reason why it might be so important to have the World's Classics edition. Okay. Other assignments include a paper, and that's due the last day of finals, and an annotated bibliography, which if you've done one before, I'm requiring you to do far fewer articles. I'm also requiring that your final paper be considerably shorter than in previous terms, and that's in large part because it's a weird term. And lastly, in terms of the syllabus, there's a flex day. This is because I understand that there's going to be some kind of online flunk day. I don't know how that's supposed to work, but I've put a flex day in so that if flunk day occurs up here, we'll just move everything down a day. And if it hasn't occurred yet, we'll just start moving things up a day. Canvas will always be right, so you'll just have to check there to see where we are. That's it for the schedule, I think. And other things that you should know about in advance, and again, yours is going to look a little different from mine. Responses are worth 25. Your annotated bibliography is worth 25. The final paper is worth 35. These are less onerous than they would have been in other classes because the responses count more and they're graded complete or incomplete. Draft workshop and participation and attendance, and that's, as you know, participation. So maybe you don't know it because we haven't gotten to course information yet. Course information gives you some information about the course. Course materials are the books that you already know you're meant to buy. The grading scale, I grade on a 100-point scale. So be advised when grades are coming back that 60% is a B-. It's not an F. Plagiarize, don't plagiarize. Course content and its presentation, essentially you should just know that everything we're reading is upsetting to somebody, if not to you personally. And then participation is the main thing. I'm not grading attendance this term. There's no way for me to insist that you participate in every Zoom meeting. I am keeping track of your participation during these meetings, and that will affect your grade. That said, if you can't meet for Zoom meetings, or if for whatever reason you aren't really participating in them, you can participate on our discussion page, which I'll show you in just a second. When we're all, I'll remind you of this later, on Zoom together, mostly mute your mic when you first log on because otherwise we'll just all hear all the background noise of everyone in the room. Be a good citizen of the world. Okay, you can go back and read that more carefully. Responses we already looked at. Annotated bibliography links, and paper. I'm going to talk to you more about when they're closer to the deadlines. Talking to me via Zoom. This is almost exactly a transcription of the email I sent you about how to talk to me via Zoom. And I will just reiterate that I am on Zoom a lot when I am working. So even if it's not my regular office hours, you can try to find me. Mini lectures are lectures like this one will show up in one of the lectures. It's the playlist that I've made on YouTube for the class, and all of the lectures will be on there. They'll also be on the syllabus when I manage to make them for the syllabus. Course sessions are going to be recordings of, if you give your consent, the Zoom sessions that we have, so that if you missed one or if you want to go back and review it, it'll be listed here. There are none listed here because we haven't done any yet. Okay, lastly, discussions. On here are a few things. The first and most important, well, the first is to do with the annotated bibliography, which I'll explain at some point closer to when it's due. If you couldn't meet us on Zoom, or if you never talked or something like that, you can participate on this discussion thread. It would also be nice if you have a lot more to say than you got to say, for you to write that out on here and give people something to respond to. So know that that does count toward participation, and you can start separate threads under there if you want to be closer to more specific about the topic. Please, God, bring the funny. This is a weird term. Anything you can do to make it more delightful is going to be, okay, so I did that a few days ago. Good. Is going to be, I will appreciate. If you have questions about how anything works, you of course should ask me, but if you want to crowdsource, or if it's a student-facing site issue, you can ask here, and then this is for complaining or not complaining. And that's what discussions is. And then people and grades. I've told you how to get onto Canvas. I've told you now, I think, the syllabus type information from Canvas. So I think you're kind of set. I will remind you in a couple of days to read the Haywood piece, which is short and funny and interesting. And you don't have to write anything about it. And then as we go, I'll add in more content and videos that have to do with the actual reading that you're doing. If you have any questions about anything I've just said, and I've said a lot, please text me or send me a message on Canvas or send me an email message. It's also possible to send me messages on Zoom. I don't know yet how much I love that, but go ahead and try it. And so far it's been fine. It might get into the list of ways that I like to be contacted. So if it's not urgent, put it on Zoom and see how long it takes me to respond. Okay, thank you for being very patient.